All right, just pressing this little button right here. Sound on and video on. Hello. Oh my God, what the heck was that? What on earth did I just watch? Like, coming off of so much crap. Where did Andor come from? Oh my God. What is this? I mean, a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. If it isn't obvious, I am not at home right now. I am abroad right now, studying in London, actually. This is my program. It's very, very cool. Um, and I was not planning on making videos while I was here. I just was absolutely taken aback by this show, and I was like, I have to do something. I also don't have my stand with me, so we're doing the old handheld mode. How on earth did this happen? A good Star Wars show? Andor is Disney's newest addition to the Star Wars canon, and honestly couldn't have come at a worse time. Just as Marvel fatigue is set in for a lot of fans, Star Wars fatigue is set in as well after a slew of mediocre at best shows. The Bad Batch was decent enough, definitely a huge step down from the Clone Wars, which it was kind of a spiritual successor to. And then we have Book of Boba Fett, which I'm sure, many of you already know a lot of the problems with that and why a lot of people didn't like it. From its lackluster visuals and bland and uninteresting storyline, the show suffered from basically every issue of generic schlock TV, up to its lead actor not really having the chops to carry the show. But I would forgive all of that if Kenobi really was a hit, right on the head. Obi-Wan Kenobi is a character who means so much to so many people, myself included. And there was so much riding on this series. Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen both came back to reprise their roles. So this was really their chance to shine, and Disney just didn't give that opportunity to them. This show had so many issues, many of which I'll dive into later, but suffice it to say that so many people were more than upset by what came out of that show, and it completely dropped the ball. Being a lifelong Star Wars fan, it was just sad and hard to watch how the mighty fall. But it's always darkest right before the light. Andor, though its structure makes it an incredibly slow burn, kept me incredibly excited to come back home and boot up the next episode every single week. The intrigue, the characters, the moral dilemmas, everything about it just kept me coming back and wanting more every single time. And for the first time in a very long time, I feel like the camera actually had something to say in a Star Wars project of all things. The cinematography of this show was just incredible. It felt like everything on the screen had a purpose, and it all advanced the story to change what would have been just a strong narrative to a compelling drama. And that's to say absolutely nothing about the design of the show. As pretty much everyone's heard by now, most of the recent Star Wars shows have been shot in this new technology called the volume, which is basically an advancement in green screen technology where instead of standing in front of a big green room, they're put in a room with a bunch of LCD screens behind them, which project computer generated versions of the settings that they're supposed to be in. Now, this can be a really great tool, and obviously every advancement in technology is a good one, but there's just some things that are better done in real life. The LCD screens just make all of the worlds feel so flat and lifeless, and a screen will never be able to mimic something like even as simple as the texture of a brick. I mean, look at this stuff. You can literally feel it. I feel like I could reach out and run my hands along that. And that's just not something you can get with a flat computer generated background. Not at all. Andor's insistence on using as many practical effects as possible is really a big part of what sets it apart. It makes every single world feel lived in. And there's no better example of that than Ferrex. Small details like watching an extra tinker with a droid in the background, or the water dripping from the Aldani base camp. They all add to the feel that this is a real place, and that our characters aren't the only things happening in this world, and that everything that we're being shown has a reason. There's a reason it's being highlighted. It makes it feel like the world really exists and really has people going about it, living their lives, that we're not just getting a little zoomed in production of these specific important characters, that this is a whole world and we're just seeing a little sliver of it. By developing the world so deeply, it intrigues the audience so much. And it's like, I would be willing to sit around and just watch a day of Ferric citizens going about their daily lives. It's incredible. It's something that you just can't get with a computer. The people of Ferrix hang their gloves openly because they're a tight-knit community and they know that no one is going to rob them or anything. They have one guy who consistently goes up to the bell tower every single day and rings it with his 2 giant hammers in an almost ritualistic manner. He sets the schedule for everybody in the town, and he is a necessary part of their lives. And his contribution is vital to the functioning of the community as a whole. This ritual is so sacred even that when a stormtrooper comes up to kill him, he kicks the guy off the side of the tower with his foot. Now, when I first saw that, I was like, oh, come on. You got 2 beautiful, giant hammers right there. But no. Why would he do that? They are a sacred part of the ritual. You wouldn't use a cross to bludgeon someone unless it's a vampire. It's so ingrained in the culture that you wouldn't even think of it. So of course he only thought to kick the guy off the side because that's all he had at his disposal. His hands were taken. But a good show can't run on good effects and good world building alone. When this show was announced, I think pretty much everyone just gave a collective shrug because no one really cared about Cassian Andor all that much. Andor, played by Diego Luna, isn't exactly the most memorable or charismatic character in the Star Wars universe. And after Rogue One, I think most people just figured we'd seen the end of him. But my God, this show has such a wonderful arc for him. From selfish lowlife, just trying to get by, to rebellious hero of the town. This shift takes a long time to get through to Andor, and he could not have done it alone. Every character that we meet has a hand in changing a little bit of him. Every character. From something as obvious as Nemec giving him the manifesto at the end of the Aldani arc, or even something as small as Alex showing him support right before Marva's funeral. Everything adds up, and every small victory changes Andor just a little. I also think it's so funny when Star Wars just throws in random normal names like that, you know? It's like, oh, we got Admiral Wolf Yaloran, we got Saw Gerrera, we got Glup Shido, and then we got Alex. And it's like, really? There's someone named Alex here? What's next? Are we gonna run into a Carl or a Curtis? Something super, super generic. Hey guys, so after this part of the video, my camera cut out, which is a lot of fun. But it was about halfway through what I planned to get through, so I think I'm just going to take the other half and make it into a part 2. So if that's something that you'd want to see, then be sure to like and subscribe to the channel so that you see the next one. Alright, thanks. See you in the next one, guys. But any good hero has to have a good antagonist. Dedramiro, while seemingly completely disconnected from Cassian Andor, works as a perfect foil for him throughout his journey to success.